I wasn't supposed to fall for him. He was my boss, older, powerful, untouchable. But everything changed the day he looked at me like I wasn't just an employee, like I was someone he'd been quietly wanting for far too long. One moment I was handing him a file, the next, I was trying to understand why his eyes were filled with something he shouldn't feel for me. I told myself it meant nothing, that I was imagining it. Until the night he crossed a line, slowly, gently, intentionally, and suddenly every rule we'd lived by shattered. I didn't know that one choice, one touch would lead us into a secret that could destroy both our careers, our reputations, and maybe even us. But it happened, and once it started, there was no going back. This is the story of how my boss changed everything with just one look. It started with a look, not a word, not a touch, just a single charged glance across the boardroom table. Suddenly, the budget presentation didn't matter anymore. All I could think about was him. Mr. Gabriel Cruz, my boss. He was everything a man wasn't supposed to be all at once, tall, confident, and calm in a way that made people stop talking when he entered a room. He was 42, divorced, focused, and lately focused on me. My name is Evan Carter. I'm 30, and I've been his assistant for a year. At first, I thought the job would be temporary, something small on the way to something bigger. But then I found myself looking forward to seeing him every morning, the sound of his voice behind me, the light brush of his hand as he passed me documents. Always casual, always professional, yet somehow never just that. I didn't know what it meant or how to ask. How do you look at your boss and say, "Are you thinking about me the way I'm thinking about you?" So I stayed silent. I ignored the way his eyes lingered a moment too long, the way he stood a little closer than he needed to. It wasn't proof of anything, but it was impossible to pretend it wasn't happening. Then came that night, late, quiet, the office nearly empty. I was finishing a report when he walked over, sleeves rolled up, tie relaxed, a glass of whiskey in his hand. He stopped beside me, leaning slightly over my chair. His voice was lower than I'd ever heard it. "You work too hard, Evan." My chest tightened. I laughed it off. Someone has to keep everything together. But he didn't laugh. Instead, he moved behind me, his hands settling gently on my shoulders, steady and warm. "Do you ever let anyone take care of you?" he asked. The question wasn't about work. It was something deeper, something I hadn't expected. And yet I didn't pull away. He paused, waiting, giving me space. Something in me felt seen, understood in a way I hadn't felt in years. Slowly, I stood and turned toward him. The room was quiet, the city's distant hum echoing through the windows. His tie hung loose, his breathing unsteady, his eyes searching mine for an answer I still hadn't spoken aloud. "Are you sure?" he asked softly. I didn't need words. I reached up and loosened the top button of his shirt, just enough to show him I wasn't afraid. That was all it took. His expression softened, something guarded falling away. He stepped closer, his arms wrapping around me in a quiet, steady embrace. The warmth between us was immediate, grounding, real. For a moment we stood there, no rush, no confusion, just honesty. "I've wanted this for a long time," he said gently, "but I didn't think you ever let me close." I swallowed hard. I hadn't expected it either. His smile was small, almost hidden, as his hand rested lightly against my back, not controlling, not demanding, just present. It wasn't about power or position. It was about finally allowing ourselves to feel something we'd both been avoiding. In that quiet office, with the city lights glowing behind us, I felt something I hadn't felt in years, seen, valued, wanted. And when he said my name, soft and unguarded, it didn't feel like a boss speaking to an assistant. It felt like someone letting down a wall they'd been holding up for far too long. We didn't talk about rules or boundaries or the office politics wrapped around us. We just let go, letting everything we'd kept hidden surface in one breathless night. And even while it was happening, one question echoed in my mind. What happens when the sun comes up? Would he still look at me the same way? Would I still recognize myself after this? Because no matter how right it felt in the moment, I knew we'd crossed a line and there was no going back. The sun hadn't even risen when I opened my eyes. The office was quiet, the soft hum from the night before now colder, emptier. Gabriel wasn't beside me. I sat up slowly on the couch, shirt half buttoned, hair a mess, my thoughts spinning. My chest felt tight, the weight of the night settling in. I looked around, expecting him to be nearby, but he was. His jacket was gone, his glass was empty. And just like that, the warmth of last night began to fade, replaced by a rising panic. What had I done? I stood, straightened my clothes, ran a hand through my hair, and tried to breathe. I wasn't just some stranger he met by chance. I was his assistant, his employee. And last night I had let him take the lead in everything. My emotions, my judgment, my sense of right and wrong. And the truth was, I didn't regret it. That was the part that scared me the most. Was it a mistake, or was it something real? I didn't get time to figure it out because the elevator doors opened. There he was, Gabriel Cruz, my boss. He walked in like it was any ordinary morning, suit perfect, tie straight, that calm, unreadable expression on his face. For a moment we didn't speak. We just stared at each other, and in that silence I caught a flicker in his eyes, hesitation, maybe even guilt, or fear. "Morning," he said at last, voice low. "Morning," I replied, trying to steady myself. Neither of us mentioned what happened. Neither of us dared say I liked it or what now, because we both knew nothing about this day would be normal again. The day dragged on like a fog. Emails, meetings, small talk. We played our roles, pretending nothing had happened just hours earlier, pretending we hadn't shared something we couldn't explain. But every time our eyes met, all the tension returned. The memory of the way he'd looked at me, the way he'd held me like he didn't want to let go. The way for one night he made me feel like I wasn't just someone behind a desk. Around 4 p.m., a message from him appeared. "Come to my office. Now." My stomach flipped. With my heart pounding, I walked down the hallway like I was walking towards something I couldn't avoid. When I stepped inside, he didn't speak at first. He just closed the door, locked it gently, and leaned back against it like he was holding himself together. "Evan," he said softly, "what happened last night, I haven't stopped thinking about it. I know it was impulsive. I know it complicates everything. But if you're angry with me, if you regret it, I need to hear it now." My pulse was racing. "I'm not angry," I whispered. "I can't be." His eyes softened, the tension breaking just a little. "Then why are you looking at me like I'm a stranger today?" "Because I don't know what this is," I said before I could stop myself. "Was it just one night, or are we pretending it didn't mean something we're both afraid to admit?" Silence filled the room, heavy and electric. Then he walked toward me slowly, deliberately, and for the second time in 2 days he kissed me. But this one was different, gentler, steady, thoughtful, as if he didn't want to rush what was already fragile. And somehow that made it even more dangerous, because it meant he'd been thinking about it, thinking about me. When he finally drew back, his hand stayed on my face, his thumb brushing lightly along my cheek. He didn't speak for a long moment. Then quietly he said, "I haven't wanted someone like this in years." My breath caught, not because of the words themselves, but because of the emotion in them. Like wanting me was something that surprised him, something he couldn't stop even if he tried. "I don't just want a moment with you," he said. "I want your time, your trust, your honesty. I want all of it." I should have brought up the rules, the risks, the consequences, but I didn't. Instead, I stepped closer, heart pounding, eyes locked with his. "So what now?" I asked quietly. His hands settled gently at my waist. "Now," he said, steady and certain, "you come to my place tonight." There was something in his tone, firm, deep, unshakable, as if he had already made his decision. "And if I say yes," I whispered, barely breathing. He stepped closer, his mouth brushing my ear. "Then I'll make you forget every doubt you've ever had." My knees nearly gave out. That night I stood outside his condo, high-rise, sleek, expensive, my heart pounding in my chest. This wasn't just about attraction anymore. It was about trust, about stepping into something bigger than I understood. I was entering his world, and I didn't know if I was ready. The door opened, and there he was, Gabriel Cruz. Out of his suit in a fitted black shirt, barefoot, calm, but his eyes, still intense, still dangerous in the way they saw straight through me. He let me in without a word. I walked past modern furniture, leather couches, soft lighting, barely noticing any of it, because the moment the door clicked shut behind me, he turned, gently pulled me closer, and pressed his forehead to mine. "Take your shoes off," he said quietly, not demanding but leading. And I did, not out of fear, but because I wanted to. There was something about the way he touched my face, the way his fingers rested lightly at my waist, not rushed, not careless, but purposeful, like he was memorizing me, grounding me, showing me I mattered. He didn't hurry anything. He guided me with calm hands, steady breath, and a kind of patience that made everything feel intentional. The way he held me, the way he whispered my name, the way he moved closer, it wasn't wild or chaotic. It was careful, focused, deeply intimate in a way that had nothing to do with crossing lines and everything to do with breaking down walls. When he finally pulled me into his arms fully, holding me against him, I felt the breath leave my chest. Not from the intensity of the moment, but from the honesty of it. He didn't let go after that. He kept me close, kept me steady, and just when I thought the night had settled, he drew me back to him again, quieter this time. "We're not finished talking," he whispered. By the time everything calmed, I felt like I had nothing left to give except the truth. And I think he knew it. Lying there in his arms, chest to chest, heart pounding, I wondered if any of it was real, or if I was just a secret waiting to happen. Falling for your boss isn't just dangerous, it's a disaster waiting to unfold. I didn't sleep at all. Even after everything, the way he held me, the way he pressed his forehead to mine, the way he made it feel like this was more than a moment, I couldn't close my eyes. Because the second I did, reality crashed in. This wasn't a one-night mistake. It was something deeper, heavier, and I didn't know where it led. By morning, before he woke, I slipped out of his bed. His arm was still draped over my waist, his breath warm against my shoulder. I dressed quietly and left without a word. I couldn't face him. Not yet. Back at my apartment, everything felt wrong. My bed felt too cold, my space too small, my chest unbearably tight. I had to decide, keep letting this happen, letting this man change everything I thought I knew, or walk away before it destroyed me. Around noon, my phone buzzed. "Lunch, my office, you choose the place." I didn't reply, not because I was angry, but because I didn't trust myself not to say yes. But Gabriel Cruz was not a man who accepted silence. At 3:00 p.m., he walked straight into my workspace. No warning, no expression, just standing there, arms crossed, jaw tight. "You needed space?" he asked, voice sharp. I swallowed. Yes, I needed to think. He stepped closer, eyes burning into mine. "You didn't seem to need space last night," he said quietly. My breath caught. "Last night was a mistake," I said, forcing the words out. He flinched, small but undeniable. "Don't do that," he said softly. "Don't pretend it meant nothing. I saw the way you looked at me." "I meant it," I admitted, "but I can't keep doing this. You're my boss, Gabriel." He took one slow step toward me. "Do you regret it?" I hesitated. "No, but I regret what it means." His jaw tightened. "What does it mean, Evan?" "It means I can't be just another part of your life you keep hidden," I whispered. "I can't keep giving myself to something when I don't know where it's going." Silence fell, a long, heavy minute passed. Then he finally stepped back. "I don't want anyone else," he said softly. But I can't promise this won't be complicated. I nodded, swallowing hard. I know, that's why I'm walking away now, while I still can. And I did. I walked out of his office, past his desk, down the long hallway, heart breaking, legs trembling. I didn't look back, but every step felt wrong, felt like a lie, because deep down I wanted him to stop me. I wanted him to say something, anything that would make me stay. That night I sat alone on my couch, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the way he used to steady his hand on my back, the way he said my name like it meant something, the way his voice lingered in my head long after he was gone. I wanted to forget him, but I couldn't. The truth was, he hadn't just touched my life, he'd touched something deeper, something I didn't even know was still open. A week passed. 7 long days, 7 longer nights. No texts. No calls. Not a single word from Gabriel. At first, I told myself I was strong, that I had done the right thing. But by night 3, I was staring at my phone, wishing it would light up. By night 5, I was having dreams that left me more confused, more restless, more alone. By night 7, I was falling apart. I convinced myself he had moved on. That maybe I had been just a moment, important for a heartbeat, then forgotten. But deep down, I hoped he hadn't. I hoped he was struggling too. And then he came back. It was Friday. I stayed late at the office, trying to finish reports I hadn't been able to focus on all week. The building was empty, silent, too silent. Then the elevator dinged. Footsteps followed, slow, familiar, impossible to ignore. I didn't turn around. "What are you doing here?" I asked, trying to sound calm. "I could ask you the same," Gabriel said behind me. I turned and froze. He wasn't wearing his usual suit, just jeans and a fitted dark shirt. Casual, confident, dangerous in a different way. His eyes met mine, and everything I'd tried to bury came rushing back. "I gave you space," he said, stepping closer, "but it was hell." My heart thudded in my chest. "Gabriel, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't work, I couldn't stop thinking about you." He stopped inches away from me. "So I came back for you. I should have stepped away. But I didn't. I couldn't." His scent hit me first, clean, warm, familiar. Then his fingers brushed mine, and every wall I'd built all week cracked straight down the middle. "You said it was a mistake," he whispered, "but if you want me gone, tell me to leave now." I looked into his eyes and saw it. Not power, not ego, just want. Raw, real, human. I wanted to say no, to push him away. But my body leaned toward him before my mind even had the chance to fight back. His lips found mine with the kind of urgency that had lived in both of us all week. This time there was no hesitation, no distance left to protect either of us. He kissed me like he was trying to erase the ache, to close the gap we created, to claim what he thought he'd lost. And I let him. Because the truth was, I'd been waiting for this. Craving this. Needing him. Before I even understood what was happening, we were in his car, windows fogged, breath quick, words tangled between us. By the time we reached his place, I was already shaking from everything I'd tried to hold in all week. He didn't waste a second. His hands were on my back, my shoulders, pulling me close, grounding me like he thought I'd disappear if he let go. And the way he held me, the way he looked at me, It wasn't reckless. It was desperate, relieved, alive. Hours later, tangled in the sheets, both of us exhausted and speechless, he whispered, "I don't want to hide this anymore." I turned to him, stunned. "You mean you want me, not just in pieces, not just in secret?" His answer was quiet, certain, unshakable. "I want all of it." My heart stopped. I wasn't sure I was ready. But deep down, I wanted it too. And he knew it. Gabriel said it again, steady and sure. "I want all of you, no more hiding." He looked at me with an honesty I wasn't ready for and said, "I don't want to hide this anymore." For a moment, I forgot how to breathe. His hand rested on my chest, his eyes soft, sincere, almost vulnerable. I whispered, "Are you saying you want us to be public?" He nodded gently and said, "I want you in my life, Evan, not just in the dark, not just when no one is watching." That night when he held me, something felt different. It wasn't fear or uncertainty anymore. It felt real. It felt like we were finally choosing each other. But life doesn't stay peaceful for long. On Monday, the moment I walked into the office, I sensed something was wrong. People whispering, stealing glances, avoiding eye contact when I looked their way. Then I saw Marissa from HR standing by my desk. "Mr. Cruz would like to see you," she said coldly. "Now." I walked into his office and one look at him told me everything. He stood by the window, tense, distant, his shoulders heavy. "Someone found out," he said quietly. "They reported us." My heart sank. "What happens now?" I asked. "There's going to be an investigation, HR, legal, maybe even the board." I swallowed hard. "Are you going to deny it?" He didn't answer. His silence stretched and then he said, "If I admit it, I could lose everything." My voice shook when I asked, "And what about me? Do I just pretend none of this happened?" He didn't speak, and that silence broke something inside me. I walked out of his office with a heart that felt too heavy to carry. I didn't look back. For 2 weeks I stayed away. No calls, no messages, no giving in. I walked into work every day with my head held high, even though every time I felt his eyes on me, something inside me hurt. I didn't give him a smile, a word, not even a glance. Then one Friday night, I came home and found a letter under my door. No envelope, just a single folded page in his handwriting. "I was wrong. I thought protecting you meant staying quiet. I should have fought for you. I won't lose you again. Gabriel." I didn't respond, because words weren't enough, not anymore. A week later, everything changed. During a board meeting with the entire company present, he stood up, looked straight ahead and said, "Yes, I had a relationship with an employee. Yes, it was consensual. And yes, I'm in love with him." The room froze. And then he said the one thing no one expected, "I'm stepping down." He gave up everything for me. That night he stood outside my building in the rain, soaked, shaking, looking like the world would collapse if I didn't forgive him. I walked up to him slowly. "You idiot," I whispered, grabbing his wet shirt. "You didn't have to give up everything." He held my face gently and said, "I didn't, I still have you." There in the pouring rain under the city lights, he kissed me like he was starting over, like he was choosing me all over again. And I kissed him back because despite everything, despite the pain, despite the fear, I still loved him. I never expected to fall for my boss, never expected him to break me and then rebuild me, but he did, and if I had to live it all again, I would, because the night he touched my heart, everything changed.